Perfect. Mayor, it's all you. You're on mute. You're on mute, Mayor.
I hate
There
it
we
when
go. There we go.
All right, let's try it again. Meeting's called to order. November 1st, 2021, the Gold Hill City Budget Committee meeting. Do we need to do roll call and pledge of allegiance?
Yeah, it's
Shall
like
we?
we might as well.
Yeah, let's roll call, please.
Carol Holm,
Here.
Larry Holm, Mark Wick,
Here.
Councillor Palmer, Councillor Wilson, Councillor
Here.
Mayor Studebaker,
Here.
Councillor Hing,
Here.
Councillor Bishop,
Here.
Councillor Rigney,
Here.
Councillor Gino.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, one country, under God, indivisible, justice and liberty for all. Okay. Jerry, how should we proceed with the budget committee?
Well, if you don't mind, Mayor, I'll just go ahead and present what I have and give an introduction to the council and the budget committee. As you know, last month we were awarded $270,000 from MRMPO. Last council meeting, we discussed this revenue, and I was instructed by council to come back with some more concise figures, which I am now presenting to you. I took everything into consideration. Mark, you did a great job referring me to the Oregon Buys website, and I added some notes on the budget document I sent you guys to give you guys our results with those inquiries. So what you have in front of you, Mayor and members of the council, members of the budget, is a budget that we feel is it hopefully it addresses everything that everybody wants and does leave some revenue left over if the council and the budget committee so desires to fund additional projects. One of the points of topic, or one of the topics that we talked about, was the storm drain repair Swede. And we had talked about the fact that we do have a storm drain fund, and the repairs there could be paid for through that fund. Personally, as you guys, the city manager, I've got some concerns with that, only because I like to maintain a rainy fund. And even if we take 25,000, split that cost, and the 25,000 from the RMPO funds and 25,000 from the storm fund, just does not leave us in a good position if something catastrophic were to occur with our storm drains. So that's my pitch. Obviously, it's your guys's your discretion. I kind of like leaving some money in our storm drain fund for something that may occur with the storm drain. And I don't have the exact numbers. Carol, you could probably help me with this because you referred to the surplus that we have left. I want to say it's something like 22,000. Carol, you had information, and I did reply to
if my math's correct, it's $21,410 that's left over. So
that's right. And if I may, I'd like to add one more item to that list, and it's a vacuum for one of the trucks. It's a leaf vac that we can actually vacuum leaves and vacuum them into a trailer, and that comes at a cost of about $1,200. And that certainly pertains to storm drains, and so I'd like to have you guys entertain that request while we're here.
that was $1,200.
Yes.
That would go up in the first grouping on the budget here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Thoughts on?
Can I add? Oh,
Go ahead, Carol.
well, I have another. I had another question. I just was curious to know if you found out anything about the technical assistance for the emergency plan and how the county's going to go about that, and if some of the concerns of the folks that were shared last time were relevant, or is the county going to be paying attention to the little cities and taking care of them in their planning? So I just was curious if you found anything out about that.
That's a good question. And Councilor Palmer was going to look to that. And as we can see, he's not here, and I'm not trying to throw him on the bus, but personally, I like the idea of having our own consultant do a customized plan for the city. I think it will come in handy when it comes to grants, either through FEMA or any other type of hazard mitigation entity. So I'm kind of a fan of the emergency plan and hiring a consultant for that technical assistance.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I don't think that's a bad idea.
Do we know though if it's going to cost 15,000? I mean, do we know if that's actually what it is going to cost?
You know, Carol, I have not reached out. I want to reach out to, I want to say it was Central Point. I pulled theirs up on their website, and it was very, very nicely done. But I have not made contact with their city manager to see how much it costs.
Mm-hmm.
So the 15,000 is just my estimate.
On that issue, you know, I agree with Jerry that it's nice to have a custom thing developed for our own specific needs. I just hate to see 17.5 go if it's going to be redundant. I think it'd be much better off to piggyback on the county piece after it's done, then customize it. There's, again, reinventing the wheel is expensive and it takes time. I think we could better use this money for other things that we've not been able to find any funding sources for. If I were a betting man, I'd say it's 75-25 that RV COG is going to come up with this emergency plan. It's on everyone's radar. They've been talking about it. General public is motivated for it. Oh, I would say let's reduce that from 17.5 to something more like 5. And that frees up some money for other things that we're not going to be able to find sources for.
Understood, Mary. You've got Councilor Bescheid wanting to speak.
Go ahead, Malia.
I don't, thank you. I don't see it on the list anymore. What am I?
It's there. It's technical assistance for emergency plan.
Mm-hmm.
Second group.
Mm-hmm. In the second.
I'm
Jerry,
sorry.
Bike
Yeah,
lane.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I see it now.
And Mayor and members of the council, members of the committee, we could set money aside. That's 17.5, and I can do further exploration as far as what the county's doing. And if they've got something going that will involve us or include us, then we don't have to spend money. But it would be nice to have it budgeted just in case.
Which is kind of where I am, Mayor, is just, so if this money isn't used for an evacuation plan, or if part of it is used to supplement the county's plan eventually, and there's money left over, the budget committee can come together and make another recommendation to the council as to how to spend that additional money. Maybe it's toward fire mitigation. Maybe it's toward, implementing the plans that the county has recommended or that an expert has recommended in order to clear pathways or perhaps purchase, I don't know, what was it? I think it was actually Larry Holm that mentioned wraps. There's a million ways that we can implement plans from professionals, and it would be nice to have some additional monies to be able to implement those plans, not just plan them.
Yeah, I
So-
tend to think that it would be good to. I think we still need to do a little more research there. I agree to set the money aside, but I don't. But I'm not sure if we want to spend that much. Seems like a lot of money.
Jerry, I have a question regarding the existing emergency management plan from several years ago. How does that thing stack up?
Honestly, Counselor, it's on my desk. I have not reviewed it. That'll certainly come into consideration once we, as we move forward.
Malia.
I reviewed it and it's useless. It's basically a boilerplate binder for, if it says fire, call 911, basically. It's a boilerplate thing that, you know, LOC or somebody must have passed out, and they fill in the blank with the city of Gold Hill and the name on every page. And it's really, really, really generic. It's not specific to our town at all, except it tells you what county to call for the sheriff or the fire department. Go ahead, I'm done.
Yeah, I think if there's a silver lining from the Alameda fire, it's that it raised everyone's awareness of the seriousness of this threat. And RVCOG, I'm pretty sure, and the Jackson County Commissioners are going to address this with both feet. On the other item that Jerry mentioned, the leaf vac, that seems like a good way to spend $1,000. We know leaves this time of year are a huge problem. And again, if we can make our outside crew, which is thin, one or two people, more efficient, and with a vac, it's going to be a lot more efficient than I believe, as I recall, last year they were schlepping those blue-green bags of leaves for weeks. So let's work smart. It's kind of like using a leaf blower instead of a rake.
Yeah, and Mark had a comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just, this is maybe slightly related to what we're talking about, a little bit on the periphery, but last week I was, went to Fire District 3's website, basically to download a burn permit for the season. And I don't know if anybody has seen, it looks like a new thing to me. It's called Community Connect that they have off of their website. And it's a voluntary thing where they ask you questions about your home. For instance, what's the quickest access to the front door? Where's your water shut off? Where's your gas shut off? Where's your electrical shut off? And they're all voluntary questions you can fill out. And so I went ahead and completed that for our home. And, you know, my guess is that if you were to have a fire at your house or something, and they're responding and on their way, they're going to have that information before they get to your house that's going to help them deal with the situation. So it just seems to be something new I haven't seen before. So it's sort of related to what we're trying to do here.
Thanks. That sounds like a great exercise that we can all do. Malia.
I know Danielle's wants to talk about something, but I just want to follow up on what Mark just said. I think that'd be something really cool to put in the newsletter, or put even better on the banner on the website, suggesting that everybody in town do that. Just a thought.
Yeah. Good. Mark, Community Connect, is that what they call it?
Yeah. And actually, to get a burn permit, you have to sign up through the Community Connect. And you got to create an account with a login, just a username, probably your email and a password. And that opens you up, and you could make changes to that information you've put in regarding your home.
Good.
Maybe got Counselor Hinckley wanting to speak.
Danielle.
Okay, so if we're moving on in items, I had some questions about some new items that showed up on the budget. If you could tell me what tools for Public Works and how that applies to transportation, as well as if
Yeah.
you could tell me what an excavator track is and what an excavator cleanout bucket is.
Got it. The tools are just general purpose tools. For instance, our air compressor just went out. We have to replace that. It's my understanding that about 3 years ago, our employees had no tools. They were using their own. So how they're transportation related, obviously they can work on the equipment that is used, repair roads. They can also actually be used for transportation related projects. The tracks, we purchased a used excavator. It will eventually need tracks, which are not tires or wheels, but it's a track. And because we have this one-time money, I thought, let's just put it in the budget. That way we can have money set aside. So when we need to replace those tracks, we can do that. And the cleanout bucket, this excavator, as you see on the budget, there's a mulching attachment. The bucket is just a different size, and we can use that again to clear out storm drains, help repair water leaks. It just gives us options.
You know, Tom, I have that same excavator, so I know that one well. That's a great machine. This does have a fair number of hours, almost 2,500. The tracks will wear out. Number two, on the bucket, we have 3 buckets, 12, 24, 36 inches. You got to have the right bucket when you do a tap. If you don't have the right one, you know, we used a 24 inch when we should have used a 12. We ended up making a lot more work for ourselves. So if they deem that they need another sizable bucket, that's like having a hammer. Got to have it to use that excavator efficiently.
Yeah, and Councilor, I intend, if this is approved, to include a justification for each one of those items that are in this budget. So I will make sure that it is transportation related. But, you know, my vision, my hope for the city is to give us the tools we need to make us a better city. And I'm telling you, this is a golden opportunity for us. And I just want to make sure that we have everything that we need to succeed.
On another item, I don't see it on our list, and so it's probably too late to get funded now, but the roof of City Hall is in bad shape. And it's kind of like a bigger version of the problem with the roof replacement in the sports park. Once things, the coverage, the roofing material fails, you get wet in the lumber underneath, it becomes a much more expensive fix. And so it's kind of crazy. I think Schoonover was one who pointed this out to me a couple years ago. He said, Brad, this has got to be done. This is basic maintenance that we have not done. And this is going to turn into a very expensive problem if we delay it too long. Now, having said that, that's probably $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. So let's put that on our short list if we are able to have some extra money left over.
You're talking specifically about City Hall, correct, Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at justifying things and figuring out how to make it fit. That might be a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our problem previously
as well,
was
Brad.
we couldn't find it anywhere. So this feels like a windfall. And if we can get some things done that we've never been able to afford, it will be much more expensive the longer we put it off.
Right. And keep in mind, the things that we're purchasing and projects that we're funding, those are not hits to our general fund. So we may free up general fund revenues to adjust exactly what you're talking about. And I think Councilor Hinckley has a comment.
Yeah. For sure, we would never ask you to do something that's illegal or unethical. Why to fit criteria? I'm just saying this is something that needs to be done. Danielle.
Yeah, that's part of what I wanted to bring up there, because I'm still having a bit of an issue with the leak detector and the gazebo roof repair. You can make an argument to me on all of the rest of these, on how they are transportation related. I'm having trouble with the roof repairs and the leak detectors. Because I don't see how they're transportation related at all. It would be really nice to repair them, but I don't see them as transportation related.
Thank you. Carol. And then
Oh,
Malia.
I think the city hall is a stretch myself, but I thought that would be one of the first things that I would have put on the list, because I think it's important to have city hall looking nice when a new city manager comes to town, or an applicant for city manager or whatever. So I think that would be a really good improvement. But I think it's a stretch in this situation. And the gazebo in the park, I think, because the walking path and the bike path goes through there, and people could go and picnic or drive their car out there and play, or what I think, and then biking and walking. To me, that makes more sense. And one of the things that I don't know how we're doing this exactly, but one of the things for the extra money was, I didn't know if there needed to be some more spiffing up at the gazebo, like in terms of the tables and stuff. I haven't sat at one for a while, but I didn't know if we're going to fix the roof, if we have some extra money and we could put that money toward the gazebo and the picnic tables. That would be the main thing, I think, unless there's something somebody else thinks of. But that was a thought that I had.
Thank you, Carol. That is a very good point. Those tables are absolutely rotten. They need to be addressed. Malia.
Yes, so I see that we have for bike trail repair 8,120. I thought we had talked about also the possibility of, instead of doing a repair, do a replacement. And if we have extra money, I would like to see, I mean, and that's really easy to justify for transportation. I mean, it's, repair it now and then have to replace it later, or just replace it now. I think that if we have the money, I think we should just replace it, and then we don't have to worry about it again for a long time.
Okay, and Mayor, if I can I address these by the numbers?
Yeah.
Let me go to the bike path replacement. We did have a quote for $75,000 to build 1,600 feet. So you can imagine, and that's just
5,000.
Yeah. And that's not removing the current bike path. That figure came to us when we explored extending the bike trail beyond the treatment plant. So 75 grand for 1,600 feet. So it's pretty costly. Going back to Councilor Hinckley.
I think that's right, Jerry.
I'm sorry?
The quote that I gave you for repairing the bike path was for repairing the whole bike path. It wasn't for the extension.
Right. And I got a number just when they were exploring extending it. I just didn't know how much a hard cost was for.
Yeah, they quoted me repairing the whole bike path for like $7,500.
Right. And I'm talking about replacing.
Replacement.
Yeah.
I think Jerry's talking about building new as opposed to repairing the existing.
Yeah, because you're right, Jessica, your quote is for 8,120 and that's to repair.
Can I just clarify, did you say the quote you got for building a new bike path was 75,000 for 1,600 feet? Is that what you said?
That's the information I have.
And that doesn't include, that does not include demolishing the old one? Okay. And that didn't include demolishing the old one. Okay, thank you.
That's correct. Yeah, and if you guys, I can double check that, but yes, I have those written down, and yeah, that's what I've got.
Danielle, did you have something else?
That would be a pretty good price for even, that would be just an overlay, not a rip out.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just continuous, so right.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted, if we're making suggestions for additional monies, one of our residents, actually Cindy Warwick, had made the suggestion for curbs in some of the areas in town that needed to be put in or replaced or repaired. And I was wondering if we had looked at that at all, or if we could look at that for additional monies, because that was a direct request from a resident.
It was, and we actually have talked about it. We can fix that one even more simply without using these funds. So we did have a discussion backside about handling that, and we have a way to do it without touching these funds.
I think there's a
Counselor.
consensus that people want sidewalks and curbs throughout town, and that's not going to go away.
Right, right. On your guys' suggestions, sidewalks, we priced at 20,000 and 1,000. It's certainly not.
Speaking of the sidewalks, this was an issue that I brought up in general council. Did we ever find out who is responsible for filling those holes in the new corners? Because those are a hazard.
They filled them.
They filled them.
Did they fill them? Okay.
Well, they're still a hazard because they're right. Well, they're right in the line of walk. I don't know. They're filling with rocks. They stick up. So you walk across there, it's like walking through a creek bed, but, and they're right in your line of walking, if you want to do the yellow things, you have to go like this to do that. And I don't know. I think they're.
I just
Not
thought
very-
that might be an extra use of the money, was to fill the holes in the sidewalks.
They got filled.
I'll check on that. And Councilor Hinckley, to go back to your two concerns, the leak detector is transportation related, and that if we have an underground leak that could affect our pavement, this detector would actually identify that. And then the roof repair, like Carol had mentioned, the pumps are used for transportation. They encourage, alternative forms of transportation, and the gazebos are used to rest, replenish, or whatever. So, like I said, when we met with the MRMPO, when they talked about the ability to use these funds to, construct restrooms, to me, it told that there's a pretty liberal definition of transportation. Now, I'm not going to lie, cheat, or steal to get the money and fund what we want, but I'm pretty confident that everything that we've asked for is transportation related.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
On the leak detector, there was an issue right next to Mark and Cindy that they had a water problem. They didn't have a leak detector. They ended up tearing up a whole bunch of the asphalt. It turned into a much more expensive problem had we been able to diagnose exactly where the problem was and just tear up that part. Malia?
Yeah.
You're
You're on
muted,
mute.
Malia.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, well, I was kind of stumbling around anyway. Give me a minute to gather my thoughts. So if we still have money, this is an idea that I haven't thrown out there. It kind of comes up in my brain once in a while and then it goes away again, but here it is. We only have one set of restrooms in the entire sports park. It's a big park. We have no restrooms up by the new Tillamook Falls parking lot. Would adding a vault toilet up adjacent to that parking lot be something we could maybe work into this with that money? I have no idea what that would cost, but I'll just throw it out there.
I have all of the quotes for that because I applied for a grant to get those built last year that got down. So I do have all those numbers. Of course, I don't remember what.
Not even a ballpark? Is it?
Well,
I want to say it was in the like $30,000 to $40,000 range.
yeah, I think
More than we have.
it's grand.
Yeah.
That was original proposal, believe it or not, the vault
Yeah.
toilets. Because
First brought out these funds in the first MRO meeting. That's what I said. I said, can I use it to get those bathrooms? And they,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So
I can certainly look. I probably had them here if you guys wanted to pose me while I went through my paperwork, but I'm pretty sure I have just paperwork for those toilets.
So we'd have to cut something else though, if we did that.
Yeah, and I
One
think,
other item I'd like us to revisit is the, under, let's see here. The removed items, the last category, grass and irrigation for 40K. You know, for me, our park is not very attractive because it's dusty and a dirt field. I grew up in Ashland. I went to Lithia Park every day for years. And the difference of the restrooms and the kids' playground with a nice grassy lawn next to the creek, and ours, which is the kids' playground, the bathroom, the tennis courts, and a dirt field. It's apples and oranges. We have not been able to find money to get that fixed. We do have most of the stuff. Jessica was working with our new engineer so that we got the administrative hurdle that was going to cost us 20K. That's been done. We have the pump, we have the piping. Our costs ongoing are going to be very minimal. We have 100-year-old water rights that we're only using a third of our allotment. One person argued last time that they thought that might be irresponsible given that we have water shortages and here we're putting more demands. I checked with a water contractor and he said the geology in this area, and he's drilled, like, he's a water driller for over 30 years. I think he's done more than 20 wells in this area. He said the geology is such that there's a hard rock layer right below the surface. And we know this, that's the black stuff that's sticking up behind the softball fields and that. So if we were to pull water out of the river, shoot it 200 yards, it would dribble through the grass, hit that impervious rock layer, and drain right back into the river. So we're really not, it's not like watering our lawns at the other end of town. We would not be creating a worsening of water shortage that already exists. Again, we wanted to do this. We just couldn't get the funds together. I think we're really missing the boat. This will be a very visible change that every person in this town will see. People who use the sports park, it'll be night and day in terms of the attractiveness. I mean, how many people do we even have using our picnic tables and our horseshoes there behind the tennis and basketball court? It's a dirt field. It's unattractive. That grass is a super cheap enhancement. And again, once we get it planted and fertilized, minimal maintenance costs downstream forever. So I would pitch that extra funds, maybe we fund half of it, maybe 20 instead of 40, and try to come up with another source out of general fund or somewhere for that 20,000. But this will be a very visible enhancement that every person going past 234 is going to see.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say that we have completed all the water rights transfer paperwork and we're just waiting for the state to tell us it's okay to start pulling water out there. So that will be coming soon. Malia, I looked up the quote for the grant that we applied for the toilets and it was $42,000. I'm not trying to cut you all short, but we're gonna have to close this soon and head into executive session. So now would be the time to give any final thoughts about where you want to go from here.
So I would like to make a
Anyone who's not spoken tonight, you want to add your 2 cents?
I'll agree with Brad on the park with the grass. It's not a bad idea if we could pull that off. And the other thing was I agree with Jerry on the storm drain repair. If we can fund that out of this grant and leave a little bit extra in the general fund for that stuff, I'm up good with that too.
Are we to vote up or down on this existing budget right now?
No, Bill, we have to be in an actual council meeting to vote on anything. We can't vote in a budget meeting.
Well, I don't mean vote, but accept this budget as it is, or do we have to vote on that in the council meeting?
In the council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And then Mayor, you've got Councilor Hinckley and then Carol.
Danielle?
So I would just like to say that there are many different ways for irrigation, especially in large fielded areas. I know that I brought this up to Jerry after the last budget meeting in looking into alternative ways to irrigate our parks rather than extensive infrastructure. For irrigation, we have a number of alternatives that we've looked at in the past for irrigation for the parks. And I would like to see how much those would cost in reusing, or if now that we have the raw water rights, could we use those instead, as we've already spent the money on some infrastructure. And I would like to look at the various different ways that we might irrigate before we agree to a basically a $20,000 to $40,000 project without having any hard numbers or alternatives on irrigation, especially potentially drought tolerant irrigation methods.
What alternatives are there to sprinkling?
So there's flood irrigation, which is used by a lot of farmers in the area, because then you only have to do it once a week, and it's an infrastructure that can be moved when it's not in use. As well as we used to have a water cannon that was purchased, and I believe was actually a purchase of our parks department. And they were told by the previous mayor that they weren't allowed to use it because we didn't have the water rights. Well, now that we have the water rights, there's a chance they may be able to use something they already purchased.
Yeah.
And that is to hook up the water cannon.
Sorry, Jessica?
I said that is the plan, to hook up the water cannon.
Yeah. So again, we have the pump and we have the tubing. It's a matter of buying seeds and fertilizer to get that thing done up front. That's where the 40K comes from. Carol?
Oh, I just want to say, I think anything to do with the parks is worth considering, and not to forget the city park downtown, because there's no bathroom at that park either. And then the lighting that's being considered now, I almost, in looking at this, I'd rather see like a more inclusive improvement plan for the city park rather than just going in and putting up a light pole now and then discovering that we need another light pole over here later, and then we need bathrooms. And so I almost could take that one, although somebody will shoot me for saying this, take that one off the list. But I think it'd be better to wait to have more money to really improve the park the way it needs to be. And that would be my same approach out at the sports park.
Okay. So yes, Malia.
And I'll just add my 2 cents about all of that. I still have a problem with watering lawn. I don't think in a long-term drought that we're into, and in the climate situation we're into, I don't think it makes sense to water lawn. I would love to see that field xeriscaped and planted with drought tolerant trees and shrubs, and maybe put some paths through it and put some picnic tables here and there. You could make it look very, very nice without having to water lawn. And it would be environmentally, it would make a whole lot more sense, but it would be a long-term kind of plan. And it would be something that the Parks Commission should look at, and we should look at how it fits into the Parks Master Plan. But I would, rather than just watering a lawn, and frankly, nobody, even if you water the lawn, I don't think people are going to use it. But if you were to put in some shade and put in some paths and put in some picnic tables and make it drought tolerant native plantings, better for pollinators than just a plain old, lawn. I think we could do better than a lawn. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So Jerry, what is our end point here? Shall we just wrap this up and then take it up again in the general meeting this a little bit later? Yeah,
well, ideally, we would like consensus with this meeting If there are things that you want to set aside, we can do that. Truth be told, we have the money in hand. So we're ready to spend. If there are things that that, yes, let's just do it, we can approve that portion. And if there are other questions, for instance, grass or restrooms or lighting, we can table those. I do want to remind everyone that a lot of these quotes have shelf life. For instance, the truck quotes, they're only good for 2 weeks. The roofing quotes, those are only good for a couple weeks because of the cost and fluctuation of materials. So if we can, by the close of this meeting, identify what everyone's good with funding, let's do that. And we can put on hold whatever else that we want to, have further research on. I just don't want to kick the can. I want to make some stuff happen. And I do think there are things in this budget that they're no-brainers. Let's just knock it out and get it done.
Okay,
Can
so
you go down the list then and we can just up or down?
no, I think by a show of hands, let's see if we can get the broad scope here first. The first two categories which come to 248, can we all agree that we will fund those? And we'll go back with a fine-tooth comb and prioritize the additional spends?
Yes.
It would actually be 249,790 if you allow me to add the leaf back for $1,200.
Okay. Yes, including the leaf back. I agree. Those in favor of accepting the top portion and reprioritizing the others?
I think Carol had a comment.
Oh,
Yes, Carol.
well, I don't know if it's appropriate. I think that's, I can't go for that. I was thinking of the first chunk, the 100 and, well, would it be 1,200 more? So it'd be 1, 2, it'd be
141, 142.
160,
Okay.
the 140. I would
Yeah.
I would like to see us approve that chunk there, because that's stuff that they can just go ahead and buy. Some of this stuff in the second grouping, I think we could, I don't know if somebody can put it together where because I would want more information on the
Okay, I got you, Carol. Thank you.
Yeah.
So can we agree, let's, by a show of hands, who is okay with moving it with the top portion coming to 140 or 142?
Yeah.
Seconded.
Okay.
Cool.
Bill and Eric, are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay, Eric is good. Bill, where are you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good.
I
Then
think
that
Councilor
sounds like,
Beachside has-
I'm sorry?
I think Councilor Beachside, did you have something to say?
Malia?
No,
Okay.
I was just upvoting.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure you're recognized.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
for everyone's benefit, the total is 142,020. So $142,020. And then when it comes to the council meeting, we'll set everything else aside. But with your guys' approval, we can approve the 142,020.
Good work, you guys. This really is a crazy fast inflationary period. I think we'd be really making a mistake if we don't nail down the stuff that is no brainer, because it will be more expensive in a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
given, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd like to
we're gonna-
remind you all that the council meeting is going to be held on a different link. So check your other email for the link to the executive session and council meeting. We'll go into the executive session, and then when we're done with that, Marvin will take us live for the council meeting.
So we'll close out this session and then open up the executive session on the same link.
Yeah, the executive session link is the city council link that I sent you.
Okay,
in-
so they're both a different one. Okay, very good. So this meeting of the Budget Committee, November 1st, is adjourned.